All right, fans and friends of decarbonization in Washington State, we're back. And exciting news that the Washington State Department of Commerce published their final rules. So we now have the final language of what is our Clean Buildings Performance Standard here in Washington State. And as I've been going through the red lines, I've had some questions and asked for some clarification. So wanting to kind of do a series to share out those learnings so we can all learn together and move towards a decarbonized future. So uh, small change, but potentially large impacts that I want to kind of start out with, which is as part of our compliance requirements for many pathways is an operations and maintenance program. And as you can see up here on the screen, what I have is the red line version of the document. So the updated standard will be published and the final rules will be incorporated into the WAC, the Washington Administrative Code. This is a red line version, so you can see the changes that were made and the change that I'm going to share with you now. So as I said, O&M program, key part of compliance, and there was some question as to when that program has to be implemented in order to get to final compliance. For example, if your building meets the UI target. So what I have up here is sort of that relevant section. So for tier 1 buildings, qualified person has to state in writing that the requirements of section 6 have been met. And you can see the line that's been stricken for the first time tier 1 covered buildings for the previous year. So the requirement was basically that you had to have an O&M program implemented for a year prior to your compliance deadline in order to be in compliance. As you can see, that requirement has been stricken. So that really streamlines compliance for, I think the largest impacts are really going to be for our tier 1B buildings, which are the buildings that are 90,000 square feet to 220,001 square feet, with their coming up deadline of next summer, June 1st, 2027. So the change here really is the 12-month requirement was removed. Instead, the O&M program has to be implemented by the compliance reporting date or basically when you submit for compliance, whichever is earliest. Commerce has also clarified, actually during one of the recent office hours, that you also have to provide proof of implementation in order to basically receive approval of your compliance application. That could be a variety of things. Some examples that were given were photocopies of paper logs that demonstrate preventative maintenance. Commerce has been very clear. It's not reactive maintenance, it's preventative maintenance that they're looking for. Signed service contracts, screenshots of software systems, not recreating the wheel, but just showing, hey, we're already have this program that helps us with preventative maintenance, invoicing dates that actions were performed. The example again that was given was changing out air filters, things like that. So the main thing is that 12 months kind of pre-existing has been removed. So I think this really, again, has the largest impact for tier 1B buildings because I'm filming this on July 30th. If you're a tier 1B building owner with a deadline of next June 2027, and you don't have an O&M program in place under the old rules, you would already be like unable to comply with that deadline. And so this is probably relieving commerce of basically a flood of requests for extensions and instead giving folks kind of some additional time and I think dealing with the realities of how O&M programs and compliance will work and saying, hey, basically when you submit for compliance, you have to show us that it's been implemented and kind of move forward from there. So a relatively minor change, but I think significant impacts, again, particularly for tier 1B buildings. It was confusing to me. So I got some clarification and wanted to share it with everyone so we can all skip into a decarbonized future. So stay tuned for more and we'll all just keep learning.